Hi guys, welcome to the Far Side of Normal podcast. My name is Stacy Farr, your creator and your host. This week I want to talk about a topic that's been on my brain a lot. I know many people are going through a hard time. I've been going through challenges. I want to talk about encouragement. Let's jump in. The first thing I did today was I looked up what the word encouragement means in Webster's dictionary. And there's two definitions that I like. The first one is the act of giving someone support, confidence, or hope. The second is persuasion to do or to continue something. At different times in my life and in other people's lives, I think we need both. We'll talk about both of those. Let's jump in it. The reason I've been thinking about encouragement, because if I'm being dead honest, because remember, all disclosure, full disclosure, we're going to keep it 100% real. Last week was just, and actually this week was Monday. I came home from helping a friend in Tennessee whose parents are going through a hard time and they're selling their home. Got home, but let me just back up. I was in Tennessee on Friday helping a friend, and I got a call that my car had died and black smoke was coming out of everywhere. As an aside, I've been battling with a company that hasn't wanted to fix this known issue, and I've been stranded more than once, last year and a couple times this year. It finally gave up the ghost, and I was just over it. When I got back on Sunday, we moved twice the stuff that we brought from Tennessee, and then Monday, after battling with insurance and the tow people and the dealership, I sat on my couch and truth be told, I just cried. It was too much. I've been listening to these 3 series sermons from my sister sent me from YouTube. And me and my friend always say pressure breaks pipes. And those messages, we're talking just about those. The first one titled was Meltdown. The second one was Breakdown. And the third one was My Last Nerve. And I thought, oh, these are for me. Let's go. I listened to them and they were timely, appropriate, and they were real because the struggle has been real. But what encouraged me about those messages is, first of all, we are going to go through it and it's okay. I feel like they gave you permission to not be okay. That's the biggest thing sometimes, especially in our society. And I'm just going to talk about America. I've traveled to other countries, but in our country, we're always telling people, pull yourself up by the bootstraps or, just bounce back. We're not balls. And me and my counselor always talk, what happens when you stuff a turkey and then you apply heat? It bursts. And we're not turkeys to be stuffed until we burst, i.e. heat being pressure. And if we're real, these last couple of years have been no joke. You've had COVID, you've had, even though they won't call it that, recession, health issues, financial issues, people are losing jobs, people are breaking up in relationships. A lot has been going on. Then you have war and threats of war and people acting a whole fool. And then you have the politics. It's been a lot. Pressure breaks pipes. And when you're getting it from all sides, it's no wonder we need encouragement. The great thing about, and I don't know if, I'm not going to be cheeky, but the great thing about going through so many challenges in life is you get really good at it, but you also get good at helping other people. I have this ability, I'm going to call it a superpower because I think it is, where no matter how bad things are, when people are crying, I can make people laugh. So usually they end up laughing and crying at the same time. And that came from just all the hardships and trials and struggles and challenges I've had in my own life. And I think it is a superpower because sometimes it seems hopeless, but it never is. Especially if you have God. I don't know if you believe in God or not, but don't try this at home without Him. for me anyways. I'm like, I can't even, if I'm going through these challenges and I have God, I can't comprehend. Don't try this at home. Fire yourself without God. But anyways, I want to talk about ways that I am encouraged and then I encourage other people. I read somewhere years ago that you encourage people in your love languages, and it's probably true because I love to give gifts and words of encouragement. This week, a friend of mine just had been going through it, and then her daughter was dog sitting, and the dog died. You guys, the dog died, and the owners are out of town. I was like, oh my gosh, are you okay? She's like, no. And bless her daughter's heart, she's like a little 16-year-old, so she was distraught. And yes, the dog was old, and they knew that he was having troubles, but on your watch, can you imagine your dog sitting somebody's precious animal that they've had for many, many years, and you come back the next day and the dog is dead? That would have just traumatized me. I would still be inconsolable. And so that on top of everything else they've been going through this week, I thought, oh no, come over and we'll have a girls' night slumber party. And that's what we did last night. And sometimes I think when we can't do anything else, just being together. I always think about the scriptures that remind you to not get in the habit of not meeting together, because that's how we give encouragement. Just the act of being with someone when you're going through challenges sometimes helps. You're not fixing things, you're not changing things, the situation's not improving, but having someone by your side helps. That's what I did. Her and her daughter came over. We put on our pajamas. It's like 5:30 in the afternoon. We don't care. We're going through it. We get books. We get tasty snacks. We eat dinner. I make us like a peasant dinner. It's this hobo dinner my mom used to make. We sat around, ate dinner, talked and laughed about everything and nothing, just random stuff. And then we all got on one side of the couch or the other side of the couch or a chair. We had our books. We had country music in the background. I love country music, don't judge me. And country music, just so you know, and blues have a lot in common. And they always have the best, especially the guys, their dog died or their wife ran away or something hit the fan or whatever. We had country music in the background and we all just sat in silence and read our different books. Just being together. And then, because it's always helpful, chocolate cake. We had chocolate cake and we continued to read. We did that from 6:30 till a little bit 10:30, being together. We didn't say anything. We didn't fix anything. We didn't come up with solutions or solve the problems or the issues. Taking a breath though. Another thing that I like to do is not just having people over, but being hospitable. If I'm dead honest, the finances have not been financing, but I will absolutely give my last. And I made it with love. And it made me laugh because I was thinking it's not much, but I made it with love. And I thought of the episode of SpongeBob when Pearl had a growth spurt and Mr. Krabs kept trying to steal food because she was so hungry. And then finally SpongeBob made his little crab patty and then she was fine. And Mr. Krabs asked SpongeBob, how did you get her to not keep wanting to eat? And he said, it was made with love. And so I told him that last night. I'm like, it's not much. It's all I have, but it's made with love. And they were happy and we were happy and life is good. But feeding people, sometimes spiritual nourishment, but also physical nourishment. Cake is definitely good. And bonus if it's chocolate. I always laugh that chocolate is medicine. It's not really a dessert, it's medicine. So when people are going through it, I'll usually bring them chocolate and like, take 2 of these and call me in the morning, stat, it's an emergency, which makes them laugh, but it does help. I think it releases endorphins and it's delicious. I don't know, chocolate helps everything. But we did that last night and that was it. And we live to fight another day, as they say. Another way that I love to encourage people and get encouragement is laughing. And I don't even know how We started this, but when we first got in lockdown in 2020, one of our friends was struggling really bad with depression. And we were kind of alarmed because we were sheltering in place and you couldn't interact. And my sister came to me one day and she's like, I think that we need to do something because our friend is kind of like, I'm worried about suicidal tendencies. And I was like, oh no. I started sending them daily memes and gifts and videos. And what I called it is daily laughter. It would be one or two, sometimes three or four, depending on the day. And I would always say, take two of these and call me in the morning. And I did this for a couple of months. And then I thought, I'm probably inundating her. Let me stop. So I didn't for a few days. And I get this call, where's the daily laughter? And I thought, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. She was like, girl, those are my lifeline. I'm like, oh my gosh. That was in 2020. I still do them, and it's 2023. I think I've missed maybe a handful of times. When I had COVID, I think I missed them because I was basically almost dying. But other than that, I've been doing those daily laughters since 2020, and it's 2023. So 3 years, a little bit more than 3 years. It's amazing to me how laughter lets you take a breath. You haven't solved anything, but it's a release of pressure. Daily laughter, whether it's a GIF, a meme, a video, a joke, whatever, that helps me, but it's also the way that I help others. And I was thinking about this and laughing. I love quotes. And so a couple of my favorite quotes kind of remind me to carry on or keep it moving. One of my favorite quotes is from Walt Disney, and it's keep moving forward. I love Disney movies. And whenever I'm going through a hard time, I think to myself, okay, Stacey, keep moving forward. There's a cartoon that I love, and it is, I don't even know if a lot of people watched it. I think it's an underrated cartoon. It's called The Robinsons, or Meet the Robinsons. And it's about this little kid named Lewis, and he's adopted, or he will be adopted, but it's this whole debacle and how he goes through it. But they always celebrate when you fail. They're like, success, yeah, well, you learn from failure, and you failed, and they celebrate. But their motto is keep moving forward, and the dad's is keep moving forward. And I love that quote from Walt Disney, keep moving forward. Sometimes I repeat that to myself over and over. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Another thing I think about is the UK posters that keep calm and carry on. And when I found out where they came from or what they were for, I was like, oh my gosh. Basically, the UK government in 1939 prepared a series of posters in preparation for World War II and in case they got invaded. And that keep calm and carry on poster was one of them. I love that poster. I think I have it somewhere in my house. I feel like I do, or I have postcards or magnets or something, or a cup or a mug. I have something that has that motto, keep calm and carry on. And it reminds me that no matter what's going on around me, help me to control my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts. Keep calm, Stacey, and just carry on. I don't tell people that because sometimes people just need to get it out. And it's better out than in. But for me, I have to remind myself of that sometimes, even in a chant, just to be honest. In full disclosure, I also think that rest is a big one. Yesterday, when they came over, we had a girls' summer party, and literally all we did was sit and rest and read, eat snacks. Later on, we ate popcorn, and then later on, we had cheese and crackers and blueberries, and we just took a breath. We had a little bit of adult beverage, but that's a whole nother story. But it was just a little bit, and we were just together reading, and then we rested. And I asked them this morning, I'm like, how'd you guys sleep? They were like, oh my gosh, just to be sitting in peace and quiet, I don't think we realize how refreshing or restoring that is. In a world of constant noise, sometimes silence is golden. Remember when you used to go to the movie theaters and they'd be silence is golden. Please silence your cell phones or blah blah blah. Silence is golden, especially when you're in a household that has constant noise or activity or busyness. In the house that they came from, there's a dog, there's a cat, there's a teenage boy, a teenage girl, a husband, and her. And it's just a lot. Coming over my house, it's the benefit of being single and living alone. You have peace, you have quiet, you have calm, you have serenity. I try to make my house my haven, or this is a nerd Superman reference, and I'm just going to feel good about it. My fortress of solitude. This is where I come and regroup or get strengthened and breathe. It's my fortress of solitude. And I love that my married friends or my friends that have roommates or even just our acquaintances will come over and hide out. I love that my place is the haven of rest. That's the highest compliment. I love that people feel comfortable enough to rest their souls here. I remember years ago when I lived in Colorado, I lived in this apartment and I had roommates. And one of my guy friends came over and he had been going through it. And I'm like, why don't you just take a breath for a minute? He's like, I got this. I said, okay, well, just sit down for a minute and just rest. He sat still and I look over and 2 minutes later, he is knocked out, like dead sleep, and sleeping deeply and peacefully. I knew the things that he had going on, so I called the people. It was basically, he had a couple of discipling times. I'm like, y'all pair up, disciple each other. He sleep. 2 hours later, 2.5 hours later, he woke up and he was like, oh my God, what time is it? Did I miss anything? I was like, whoa. Just pump your brakes. I did this. They're fine. You're good. It's this time. Here, you want to eat dinner before you go home? And he was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I fell asleep. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? That is the highest compliment that you can give me, is that you feel comfortable enough to just fall asleep. My grandma used to say that people feel comfortable resting their soul. And I'm like, yes, I love that. Speaking of which, there's this tribe, and I don't know the name of it, but I read about this years ago and I thought, that's brilliant. For 3 or 4 days, they'll just go. And then wherever they're at, after 3 or 4 days, they'll just stop, make camp, and they say they're letting their soul catch up to their bodies. And I thought, that's genius. Sometimes we're so busy doing and going and accomplishing and achieving and striving that we don't let our souls catch up with our bodies. We don't rest. Sitting still is almost an act of defiance. Doing nothing, which is not doing nothing, it's resting, which is everything, is rebellion. In our culture of grind, hustle, girl boss, be still. It is hard to do, but it is absolutely necessary. And I'm making it a practice as often as I can. In biblical terms, it's called the Sabbath. We're going to rest. And it doesn't just mean sitting and not doing anything, but it means downshifting. I've been doing that more and more because it's been more and more needed. You know what I mean? I also think that rest is important. And that's one way that I get encouraged and refueled, but I also give it to other people. There's a story in the Bible of the prophet named Elijah. He had this big showdown. He had walled out, just took out everybody, just everybody. And then Jezebel, because she was hating, basically was like, if you're not like them, he'd killed a bunch of prophets of hers. By this time tomorrow, then I want to know why not. And so he ran away afraid. In the desert, he ran to the desert and he's like, you know what, God, I'm done. Like, I can't do this anymore. I'm tapping out. And he sat down under a tree and he fell asleep. Trauma, stress, hardships, pressure, breaking pipes will cause you to just need a nap. The beautiful thing about that story, God wasn't like, get your life together, cowboy up and get back in the fight, or, keep it pushing. No. What did he do? He let him sleep. And then he sent an angel, not once, but twice, to give him water and food. And he went back to sleep. After the second time, he was refreshed, got back up, he jumped back in it, and God was like, you're not alone. I got your back. Here, go to this person in this city. You got backup. Sometimes we just need to know that we need to rest, and that's okay. Sometimes we need a snack and a nap, and that's absolutely okay. And then we need backup, people that will not criticize us, not critique us, not give us a hard time, not demand that we just get our life together or cowboy up. None of that. We just need backup. Come sit with me, or come pray with me, or can I just hang out with you? Because I don't want to be alone right now because it's a lot, And I love that. So he tromped on off, hooked up with Elisha, had a dynamic duo. Let's get it. But you need a minute sometimes. He took a whole nap times 2. He ate and drank, and then he rested some more. Sometimes we can be that angel for people by just showing up. I remember one time a friend was going through a really hard time, so a handful of us jumped in the car, grabbed snacks and food, and popped up on the door because they weren't answering the phone, they weren't answering the door. We were like, don't make us come over there and beat on your door, and so we did. And it shocked her. She was like, what are you guys doing here? We are staging an intervention. And we hung out with her for a couple hours, and she just started crying. She was like, you know what? I didn't want to feel like a burden or a bother. And so I couldn't. There was just so much going on. Like I couldn't even think about entertaining or reaching out or just pretending. We're like, you don't have to pretend with us because be real. She was so encouraged by that. Sometimes people won't tell you that they need you to show up for them. But if you have that inkling or that, do it. You will never regret it. Just do it. This is kind of an extreme story and it's kind of trigger warning. A friend of mine and I were going through a challenging time. It was right after my brother had passed away. And she's like, I feel like I need to go to my house. And her house was about 45 minutes away, and she lived with other roommates at the time. And I was like, okay, I'll go with you. You guys, we walked in on and prevented her stepdad from committing suicide. It was a suicide attempt that we interrupted because we had this inkling and she listened to it. He had been battling terminal illness for a long time, and he just felt like he was a burden and he couldn't take the pain anymore. And we got there just in time. So we had to call the ambulance and book it to the hospital, and it was traumatic to say the least, but I was so grateful that she listened to that voice, which we call as Christians the Holy Spirit, prompting her to, no, you need to go now. And we did, and we were able to get him out of the garage and turn off the car, and we saved his life. If you think you should, you should. Because sometimes people are in so much despair that they won't reach out, especially if they've reached out before and not gotten help. Show up. Just pop in. Just show up. If you think it, then yes, please do it. Other ways that I love encouraging people and getting encouraged, sometimes you just need a hug. Just be honest. My sister recently was going through a hard time, and I love guys because sometimes they don't know what to do. It is not all guys, and I'm trying not to do a blanket statement, but when girls are going through hard times, sometimes they just freak out. They're like, what do we do? Like squirrel, like stress, But he was like, are you okay? She was like, no. And she just had a moment. He was like, oh no. So what did he do? He just grabbed her and hugged her and held her. That's sometimes all we need. Human touch is healing. It is restoring. It's life. And honestly, sometimes all you need is a hug. somebody to hold you close and say nice things. And I always laugh with my guy friends or even my girlfriends. I'm like, sometimes I just need to borrow your strength because I have none. And that's what giving courage or encouragement is, letting someone borrow your strength that doesn't have it. You rest, I'll fight for you, I'll believe for you, and then when you're ready, let's jump back in it. And it's going to be back and forth. That's what friendships and relationships are. Sometimes I'm strong, sometimes I'm weak. Sometimes we're strong together, sometimes we're weak together. But it's being there for each other. And touch is magical. Sometimes people just need a hug or a shoulder to cry on. I used to work at a college, and you don't know what people are going through. One day I was coming out of the bathroom, I was washing my hands, and this other little, well, I call her a little girl, but she was like a young student, was next to me, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, baby girl, are you okay? And she started crying. I'm like, whoa, 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 let's go. So I took her right around the corner into my office. I always had tea and chocolate in my office and Kleenex because people just need a minute. So I said, you sit here. I went and made her tea, and I make it the English way with cream and sugar and lemon. I'm like, drink this. And what's going on? Here's some Kleenex, and it's Kleenex with lotion. Kleenex, if you want to sponsor me, let's do this. She had came to school. Her mom had died the night before, and she didn't know where else to go. Baby girl, you sit here as long as you need. We're going to eat chocolate. We're going to keep it moving. No, someone had died. I think her friend. But she was going through it, and I thought, girl. And she's like, I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't want to miss any more classes because I don't have any more time. I'm like, we're going to be fine. We're just going to sit here and drink tea. You're going to cry, and whenever you're ready, let's go. Another time, a colleague walked in the door, and I was like, what's going on? Are you okay? And they're like, no. And they bust out crying. I'm like, oh, no. Here's me. And I know, I hope I'm not the only one, but I'm used to girls crying because girls, we just are more willing, I think, to be emotional. But when a guy cries, it breaks my soul. And he busts out crying. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I slammed my door, closed the blinds, pulled him, and just held him. And all he could do was weep. And I was like, oh no. When he kind of collected himself, I could tell he was a little bit embarrassed. But I was like, no, no, no. You sit here. I made tea. Again, tea is chocolate and tea and naps. Let's go and hug. And we just talked. And he said, the pressure just got to me. And I'm like, and that's okay. We became even better friends because of that. I think another way to let people be encouraged is to give them permission to be real by being real yourself. Share if you're struggling or if you're winning. People need to know that it's okay to not be okay. And I want always to be that for somebody. The last thing, and it's not the last thing because it's the first thing that I do, but I always go to the Bible. One of my favorite scriptures is an imitation from Jesus. And it makes me cry every time, and I'll probably tear up even now, because sometimes you just need this imitation. And I think we don't understand, but it is what we need. And it's in Matthew 11, and it's 28 through 30. And this is Jesus saying, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. We need to switch burdens sometimes. And the best way, and the first way, and the most effective way that I know is to run to Jesus. And not to make it trite or not to make it religious. It is life. Because that is the first place I need. I need Jesus. Not a word of lie. So I use his imitation. The second one is Philippians 4:8. It's reminding me of things, and it's finally whatever's true, whatever's noble, whatever's right, whatever's pure, whatever's lovely, whatever's admirable. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And I remind people of the great things. Thanks for watching The Far Side of Normal. This has been encouragement. Until next time.